Hey, greetings from Chickenwood. I'm Lori, and here to share what I've been up to lately with knitting and spinning and weaving and crafty things and some travels. I sat down to record today's episode. I know it's been many, many months since I've put up an episode for my YouTube channel. And I discovered that I had done a podcast back in November and never posted it, and I have really no idea why. I just watched it, reviewed it. It was fine. It was great. Maybe I didn't like the glare in my glasses. I was in the kitchen and the light was sort of flaring off my lenses, but I decided I'm going to put that up here. And then I'll follow up after it with some updates about things that changed since I had shown you what I had shown you, as that often happens, right? Something goes amiss or we change our mind on how it's coming out. And that's the cool thing about knitting, being the boss of your own knitting, like Elizabeth Zimmerman always said. So I'll have some stories to share about a couple things that way. And so I will see you again at the end of my November podcast and fill you in. I hope you're doing well. It's now February something or other, the 6th, I think. We've had Christmas and New Year's and the month of January since my last recording. And I'll just chat more about that later. So I'll see you then. Hello from Chickenwood Studio. I'm Lori, and I'm back to you after a many month time off from podcasting. Welcome to Chickenwood, and it's a gloomy November day, but it's okay. It's sweater weather and knitting weather, and a lovely time of year here in upstate New York. I'm LF Dubois on Instagram and Ravelry. And I've been zooming around in the past few months doing some traveling and some knitting and a lot of different things. But I just was procrastinating getting a podcast out, waiting for so many things to be just right and just so. And I just decided today I have a window available, and it'll never be the right time. Everything will not ever be just right, because who knows, I might be all planned out and something else might happen. So I'm just popping out here to say hello. And how are you? How have you been? It's been pretty interesting over here at Chickenwood. We've been traveling a bit with family and some with friends. And so I wanted to share about some of my adventures with you and some things that I picked up along the way, and some works in progress, some finished things, a few treasures that I brought back home with me from various places. So if you're interested in all of that, stay on. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. If you're new, welcome to Chickenwood. Chickenwood is the name of our home, and it comes from the fact that we built our house out of a lot of repurposed wood from a chicken barn many moons ago, a 3 or 4 story chicken barn that we took wood off of and planed off. It was beautiful yellow pine, planed off. In fact, the door behind me is made of chicken wood. You can see the nail holes and things if you look closely. And so when I decided to name my studio, that kind of came up and seems to have stuck. Now I do soap, and it doesn't really connect with soap. So when people say Chickenwood soap, what's that? I have to tell the story again. So anyway, let's see, I think I maybe recorded in April. Yeah, I think it was. So it was an interesting time this summer. My first traveling was up to Maine, stayed with my mom for a while, did a lot of knitting. Oh, that's a UFO, a finished object I have to show you. I might have to do a little insert later, but I finished my Hoarfrost shawl, and I knitted a lot on that while I was in Maine this summer, and it was Flat Island fleece hand spun, which was yarn, wool grown off the coast of Maine, way up the coast. So that was kind of a cool, soulful knit project, and it came out great, and I love it, and I've worn it a lot. I use it a lot at home on cool nights, and I took it on one of my trips, and it was just great. So that's a treasure. After Maine, my family and I went up to Prince Edward Island for a week to revisit some old favorite places. When the kids were little, we went up there for vacations about like 7 years in a row. That was such a great experience to see again those places and have all the kids together. Plus my son's girlfriend, now fiance, so that was a really special time. And we visited Fleece and Harmony up there in Belfast, PEI. That was fun. They have quite an operation over there. A lot of sheep and a mill and some fun yarns. So what else did we do though? Well, we came home then and prepared for a trip. My husband and I went to Scotland and Shetland in September and October. And that was a fabulous trip. So much to share. I can't share it all in one podcast, but I'll show you a few things from a few places and maybe touch back on things later on. But we just had a wonderful time. We traveled around in the Highlands for 5 days prior to getting to Shetland Wool Week. We met up with two friends from Edinburgh, and we went on the ferry boat from Aberdeen to Shetland and spent a lot of time with them and traveling around on Shetland. And that was my third visit to Shetland, and just as wonderful as ever. And I have no problem considering going back again, because being there is really awesome, and there's way more to see than I have not yet seen. So that was lovely. We spent a few extra days after Wool Week staying in the home of a friend down on the south end. One day was total stormy gale, wind, rain, going sideways, and we totally settled in and made soup, knitted, and just watched it all go around us. We were by the water. And gosh, not long after that return, I had a Rhinebeck trip set and planned to go. So off we went, I and a bunch of friends, and had a lovely time. So it's sort of been nonstop, but it's been good. It's been really great. And now I'm full into preparing for the Christmas soap season, winter holiday soap season, what have you. And it's kind of nice to take a break and not be making soap at the moment. I probably should be, but I'm not. So I'm going to hope that I can get through this without much editing necessary. I was watching Carrie, My Wool Mittens vlogs. She's doing a 12 days until Thanksgiving series of short videos just about her farm and her sheep and her knitting, and just taking time to be thoughtful and prepare for the holiday, which we all often kind of overlook a lot because it's like the heralding in of the Christmas season. And it's just a lovely, lovely day. I kind of feel the way she does too. It's always rush, 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 and then it's done, and then you're thrust into the next phase. And there's like no rest until after all of that. But so along with preparing for Thanksgiving, I'm looking forward to maybe having more of that time in the beginning of December to prepare for the next season. It's always a great goal. It isn't always a reality, depending on what you're doing and what's going on, but I really love her ideas. She's taking more time to be outside until it was hunting season. Definitely don't go out in the woods now. Same here. So there's that. But so I think I will get on with the show. And first, I think some finished objects, because you might have seen these before, or maybe not. Yeah, usually my objects are around for a long time before they're done. These are my fabulous mittens. They were a knit along last Advent with the Norwegian designer. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm gonna massacre it. Wenche Roald. I should have looked that up. I didn't. I apologize. Anyway, I finally got these mittens done, and I got to block them on my special Selbu blockers from Patricia Fortune from Knitography. They work beautifully. These mittens are perfect for the blockers, and the mittens fit me perfectly. Couldn't believe it. Such a cute pattern of squirrels and birds on the trees, and then the palm is just another branch, and the thumb is another bird. They're so cute, and I did those with the Norwegian Finullgarn, is it 3-ply? I don't know, it's 2-ply jumper weight. Lovely yarn to knit with. That was fun. So that was just a recent finish, but what I did prior to getting to Shetland, I did my Shetland Wool Week beanies. Well, beanie. This is the Roadside Beanie. Ollie's, Oliver Henry's hat. It was the hat of the year. And it's the Roadside is the name of his farm, I believe, and things that you would see along the way. His wool is a big part of his experience in life. Of course, if you know anything about him, he's the wool sorter for Jameson and Smith, the Shetland yarn brokers, wool brokers. Boats, because his family was a boating family, although he couldn't pursue the boating because he got seasick. So that's partly why he ended up working with the sheep for so much. And there's a really pretty crown on there. Just kind of a pinwheel. So this was designed along with the help of, I know her name, Manson. I should prepare, but I didn't. It'll come to me. Anyway, she's also someone that works over at Jameson and Smith. Yeah, oh well. And the other hat for this year was the Harriet's hat. If you haven't heard about the Shetland MRI Makers Appeal, they're raising funds to get an MRI actually on Shetland, which they don't have. So everyone that has to have that kind of a medical procedure, treatment, or imaging, has to either fly or take the ferry across the ocean to get to the mainland, and it's just an expense and trouble for a family. And so Harriet Middleton, a Shetland knitter, decided to help with that appeal and design a hat, and it's called Harriet's hat, and the patterns are $1 donation to go toward the fund, and it's a beautiful pattern. It was really fun to knit. I totally enjoyed it. I had leftover Shetland jumper weight wools. Her design actually had colors to match the emblem of the MRI appeal, which was more, I think, purples and teals. But this was just a great hat, and I wore it a lot this year in Shetland. Oh, goodness. So there's that. And then this is a finished jumper from, back when I was recording those other ones last winter and spring. This is the Miss Marple's cardigan. Lady Marple? I think so. I just threw on some plastic buttons that I had in my button box. So these aren't maybe the ultimate buttons that I would have chosen, but they work for now. This is lovely sweater, lovely knitting, enough interest with that lace to make it fun, and then enough stockinette to make it quick. It's got a shaped waistline a little bit, which is lovely. And I used Daugher of a Shepherd yarn. Man, I spoke about it before in other podcasts. Daugher of a Shepherd. Well, it's not the Hebridean. It's the Castlemilk Moorit. That's it. And I don't know that she's going to have that anymore, so I was fortunate to get that while I did. It's very sturdy. It's pilling a little bit, but it's kind of inevitable to a degree, so it's not bothering me, and I can work with that. Oh, speaking of FOs, this is my most recent. I'm so excited about it. This is the Engi by Jennifer Stiengass, and it's knit in Norwegian yarn, Pelsullgarn, Tinde. It's DK weight. It is made mostly, or maybe 100%, lamb's wool, so it's light, soft, and fluffy, and curly locks, and I don't know how you can tell from up close, but it's holding up beautifully, and just it's so warm and so light. It's not like you're wearing a heavy sweater at all, but it looks pretty heavy and robust. So it's another favorite. And then just in time for Rhinebeck, I finished my Rhinebeck sweater, which was this Rauwerk trees. And unfortunately, when I was reorganizing my suitcase, I must have folded it up and left it on the bed beside the suitcase, and then ran off and never looked back because I left it home. I didn't have my Rhinebeck sweater for the first day of Rhinebeck. I was able to retrieve it the next day with the help of my husband, but this was very interesting knitting. It's challenging in some ways because of a lot of two-stitch cables. I did not use a cable needle. I don't need to do that, but it definitely slows you down a bit. But the back is all stockinette, so that makes up for it. Tricky part was knitting back and forth when you get up to the armholes. You put the back on holder and you knit the rest of the front. And there were some short rows involved, but I did the German short rows, which I finally understand now, and I don't think I have to look them up anymore to do them. So I recommend those. They're very well hidden. This was yarn from Webb's, actually. I think it was their Valley yarn. I'm not sure. It's Peruvian DK. Very soft. I don't even need to wear a shirt under this. It's so soft. It's not itchy at all. Only problem is I'm afraid it might pill with a lot of wear. It's starting to already a little bit. But it was a great price. It was affordable, and I think I'm okay with it. I tend to like the more crunchy, toothy, natural yarns like this. Not that it's crunchy. It's not crunchy at all. It's soft. But less processed maybe is what I'm saying. I'm not sure. But that was a nice heathery color, and it fit the bill for the project that it was. So I was pleased with that. And that's it for FOs. I always have a bunch of them, works in progress going on, and I take them out from season to season, put them away. And that's just the way of it with me, and that's okay. I'm getting used to that. I'm not ashamed of it anymore. How many projects do you have, Lori? I don't care. It's just all that many chances to enjoy. Like Carrie, was it Carrie? No, it was someone else I was watching. So I think I'll just start with what's in front of me. This is crochet, actually. Whoops, there goes my crochet needle. I like to do natural washcloths with my soap show. So this one I saw recently on Instagram. It's called the pine cone cloth. The light is making that awfully. There, you get some good texture in that angle. It's 100% about DK weight cotton, maybe worsted. And it's just a really cool crochet pattern. And I learned a new stitch doing it, and it's been really fun. I think that will be nice to have available with my soaps and things. It's sort of like every fall I start doing up some at the last minute crazy, every spare minute crocheting something. But I'm just not into it in the summer when I could be doing it and stashing them away, but it's just wasn't into it. Now that my fabulous mittens are done, I have another mitten project waiting to be finished, and this is one I started a while back. This is with Tuku yarn, Finnish yarn. I've shared it with you before, but I'm now done with the mitten, working on the thumb, and then after that I'll have the next mitten to go, and it's just this beautiful. The red is a little more maroon than showing up in this light. But this is a beautiful little shaker box that I got at Rhinebeck that's perfect for this small projects like this. Isn't that the sweetest thing? So it sits by my chair. It's not really a traveling project, so it's all contained. While in Shetland, one must do fair isle knitting, and I brought a fair isle project with me, but I was just thinking that it would prevent me from feeling the need to buy more yarn and start something new over there. What was I thinking? I should have left that one home because I never touched it after once I got to Jameson's of Shetland and Jameson and Smith, there was no going back. So I first had been looking at this pattern. Marta of Martushka Knits podcast, she made one of these a while back, the Cruden's vest, right? Cruden vest by Isolde Teague, and she did a beautiful job on hers. So I've been thinking about that for a while, and I thought I would do that, but in a different colorway, with teals and berries and pinks and turquoise and white. So that's made a start. I don't know, can you see that so well? Lighting, the color isn't that great, but it's just love knitting with Shetland jumper yarn, jumper weight. I was thinking of doing it on the long needles and knitting belt, like the way they knit there, but I just don't have it down. I have one project that I'm doing that. It's that Gansey that I've shared with you before. So I'm content to let that be that for now. So I had trouble with colors with that vest, and meanwhile I'd gone back to Jameson of Shetland and was looking through their patterns, and I saw so many people there wearing these beautiful cardigans that were just breathtaking. That's the amazing thing about being at that event. There's just everywhere. People that live there and people that travel there are wearing their wool things. So lovely. So this is like the one that I chose to do, and I went with the colorway that the pattern provided. So it's plums and blues and pinks and grays, and I started it with a bang, and I've put it down for a while now because I've been distracted by the other things, but this is how far I've gotten on this one. It's a steeked cardigan, so in the middle here's the steek section, and I will snip up that and then add on the button bands. It's a gorgeous pattern, really fun to knit, not boring, not too complicated. So I got lots of Fair Isle for the winter, keeping me busy and interested and occupied, and enjoying that Shetland wool flying off the needles, on the needles. And then another from the trip, when we went through the Highlands area, and then we spent one day over on the Isle of Skye, and I had been following Sheila Stair Yarns for ages. Well, I guess maybe the past year. That's kind of when they started up their new business there. So we stopped, and we met Simon and Kirsten and spent a little time visiting their shop and looking in their dyeing room, which was fascinating. All natural dyes in this huge volume of yarn, with foraged locally, safely, responsibly, and then other dyes they've had to import. But they try to do as many local dye stuffs as possible. So this is two indigo pots, and this was madder root. And these are put together in this project, which is a hat designed by Kate Davies for them. And it is called Aster. And their model is wearing a sort of pink and beige. Lovely. Oh, I don't have a pom-pom. She's got a nice fuzzy pom-pom on there. I'm going to have to look into that. That would be really cute. So it's another new stitch, this star stitch, which is a little complicated and slows you down quite a bit every few rounds. But again, it's just fun to learn something new, and it's small enough that I can take it with me and for travel knitting. And I'm almost up to the crown, so it'll soon be done. It's been fun, enjoyable. And this is a BFL blend. Oh dear, do I have the tag? Oh, there's some other needles. I don't. I think it's BFL mostly, and it's blended with something. Maybe Cheviot? I can't remember. But if you're interested, I'm sure it's on the website, all the info that you need to do. Find it in this my little madder root baggie, which actually coordinates quite well with the project. That's always fun. Anything else? I think that is all of my projects, but I thought I would share a couple of yarns and things that I picked up in my travels And speaking of the Maine, the sheep off the islands, off the coast of Maine, Flat Island and Nash Island, Janny Estelle of Starcroft mills them into beautiful yarn, and she dyes them, and it's just a fascinating project, and she does beautiful work. So I picked up some of this beautiful fern. It's her Nash Island Light. It's worsted weight, hand dyed, and I have some good plants for that. And also they had this Romney from Bybrook Farm at the stand at Rhinebeck. They were at Rhinebeck for the first time this year. That was just such a great thing. So, and I think it was a good weekend for them, and I think they'll be back next year. So if you have plans for wild Maine Island yarn, come to Rhinebeck. Or you can always order on the website or go to Maine to Rockland and Clementine and pick some up in person. This is Romney Natural Color. Bybrook Farm is the farm in Maine. Michelle raises Romneys, and these are her Romneys in the natural colors. So gorgeous. It's called pewter. And I've started something with it. I'm not sure if it's going to work, so I'm not even going to talk about that yet. But two very special, beautiful yarns that are now Soulful Stash. And the only other one is, this is from my local farm, Carol Foster's farm. She has been doing a lot of plant dyeing this year. They have a dyer's garden at the farm, beautiful. And the indigo grew awesome. Everything grew beautifully this year. Ellen, Carol's sister-in-law, is quite a gardener, and she does beautiful work. And actually they have spinning days up there once a month, every week on Wednesday during the good weather. They spin outside, and I was able to go up one time this summer, and we sat in this greenhouse with these beautiful flowers all around, and the dye garden over on the side. It was like a total retreat. Very short one, but it was beautiful. So Carol did a lot of dyeing. This is indigo over Romney, and mostly Romney, 75% Romney, 15% Wensleydale, and 10% Corriedale. And it's fingering weight, 400 yards per skein. So I think it had some natural color in it, and that's why the dye is sort of slightly heathered. It's just blue-gray. Carol was wearing a little neckerchief shawl that it was lovely that she had knit up in it. So that's the plan for this, something similar to that. The rest in my goodie bag is the Shetland, the rest of the colors that I need for my two Fair Isle projects, but this is my swatch of the pewter from Bybrook Farm. Might as well show you that. Isn't that lovely? I think that I would possibly need a little smaller needle for a more dense, because it's kind of loose. Just depends on what you're making with it, right? And a couple of more, golly, well, a couple more souvenirs from Shetland. It was the 10th year of Shetland Wool Week, so they had a whole bunch of things commemorating their 10th anniversary. This, just a cute little toolbox. I wish I'd bought 10 of them to bring home to my friends. I just wasn't thinking clearly there. I was kind of in a rush and grabbed one, and oh well. I did bring them knitting bags from Jameson of Shetland. Maybe I'll show you a picture of that later. It's a backpack, canvas backpack bag with a drawstring top. Really cute, very roomy. But the pièce de résistance, I just could not come home without one, because our Airbnb people had one on our bed, and it's a Shetland tweed blanket. And it is out of this world. It's by Jamesons of Shetland. They mill it, they weave it in their mill, and it's just soft and light. It's different than Harris tweed, which is, you know, the really hard-wearing fabrics for suits and trousers and things, and I love that too. And actually, I should show you one more thing that I did get in Harris tweed. I'll have to get up and edit out maybe I won't, but anyway, it's just so light and soft and warm, and it's roomy. It's not just a little lap quilt, you know, it's wide enough to cover you, long enough. It's just beautiful, and I love it, and I've been wrapping up in it. So if you get to go, make sure you go to Jameson of Shetland in the back where they have the blankets on the shelves. Or you could order it online. You could. I'm gonna grab that. Oh, here's another one. Okay, before I go grab the Harris Tweed thing, this is my fleece. I picked up this fleece up in northern Shetland in Oliberry. They had a day in the Oliberry Hall of, as they do in a lot of different communities, displays, demonstrations of knitting, and they had a especially lot of lace up on display up there. Just incredible lace knitting, among many other things. And one of the local ladies had fleece for sale, and this was the last one, and I walked by and I just couldn't resist checking it out, and I walked by about 10 times trying to talk myself out of it, saying I can't take another fleece home. I have so many fleeces that are not getting spun. But look at this color. Oh my goodness. And she was famous for excellent fleeces. I spoke with some of the people there and some spinners that I knew. And so I packed it up and shipped it home. Took the chance, on the chance that it would make it through, and it did. And so I was psyched it got home before I did. So it was here meeting me. Now I have to wash it and decide how to process it before I get going. And I just don't feel settled enough right now to start that yet. I've got other things to do, but I look forward to that for this winter. So the one other little item is made with the Harris Tweed. I'll be right back. It's right here in the kitchen. Oh no, where did it go? Here it is. It's cozy for French press. So this one B&B that we stayed at, the B&B owner is a sewer, and she has a whole workroom called her cave full of Harris Tweed. She goes to Harris once a year and buys up a whole bunch and makes these beautiful covers. So I couldn't come home without one. And that was how she served all of her coffee and tea. She makes them for teapots and for ateliers, is what they call them over there. It's Harris Tweed label on it. It's not even her label, it's the Harris Tweed label on there. Her B&B, oh boy, if you're interested, give me a holler. I can give you the details of her business because it's just escaping me right now. It was in Newtonmore, and nope, it's gone. But it was so much fun. We were able to stay in a couple B&Bs where there were other people around, and got to meet some other travelers and lovely chats with the owners all the time. That's what I love about traveling, meeting people from where we're at and the other people traveling too. So I guess that's it for now. Yeah, I don't have much more, except I just wanted to give you guys a little update and say that we're hanging in there and winter's on the way. Knitting season and everything. I hope you're well, and shoot me a line if you have any questions about anything, or just say hello. So I wish you well, I wish you good health and happiness. See you around. Bye. Hello again. This is the third attempt I've made. I'm making to give you the follow-up after the segment from November. My silly computer, well, silly me, I have to unload things from my computer in order to make room to add new things, as in recording today. So I took some time and removed some things. Hopefully it'll be enough space now for this to actually work. Because if it doesn't this time, I might just end up posting the other one without a recap. See how it goes. So I had a few other projects on the go, some to follow up and to tell you that had changed, like a mitten project. I switched to something different, and mostly I think I'm just gonna, since time might be limited, I'm gonna share with you about my Carbeth sweater, which I used the Nash Island Light that I had told you about in the segment from Maine, the island sheep. This is hand dyed, so you have to alternate skeins in order to prevent, splotches pooling. So that was okay, but the fact that the end of the round is at one of these decrease points on the, I don't know which is which side really. And I'm hoping that after blocking, that won't be really noticeable, because it sort of is, where you drop the one skein and you pick up the next. But we'll see. I did a few modifications. I made the neckline much shorter. I just didn't want quite that. I made a smaller neckline. I hit the wrong button and stopped recording. Okay. I just didn't want that much at my neck. I like it to be a little more open, and hopefully a t-shirt will show and it won't matter to me. I also wanted to make it longer, and that's what I've taken off the original ribbing, and I've picked up the live stitches around the bottom. And I'm going to add in, since I've completed the sleeves and the neckline, I have more yarn left over. I'm going to just lengthen it and put the ribbing on and use every bit of yarn for the sweater. So that should be able to be done in time for me to head out to Norway in a couple weeks. So exciting. Very, very thankful to be able to, I got to tell you about this over again too. I told you so many things that are lost now because of, oh dear, and there's part of lunch on my sweater. Oh, did that show? Piece of lettuce. Okay, moving on. Going to Norway to meet up with knitters from all over, to be hosted by Patricia Fortune and the Mid-Norsk Stricka Festival at a very special tea party, which you may have heard about on Instagram. Super looking forward to meeting people that I have only met online. Some I've met in person already, and it'll be wonderful to see them again. And others I have not met at all, and including Norwegian knitters and makers who will join us at part of our time. And we'll be meeting along the way as we spend some time together. And our son Greg, who has been in China for 6 years, he is home now. He just got out for his spring break. Well, between semester break. He teaches there at a university. He got out just as the stuff was all happening with the coronavirus. And so he's been with us. He's not ill, thank God. He's well, but he's supposed to be going back to teach next semester, and apparently he just decided he's going to stay here and teach from home online until this has all settled down a little bit. If he went back, he would have to be quarantined in his apartment for 2 weeks, so you might as well stay here, right? And enjoy some winter. Maybe he'll even be here for a snowstorm, which is what he's missed the most in his 6 years, I think, being over there. I don't know. Anyhow, so there's always something going on, but I hope you guys are well and you're enjoying your making and just enjoying the moments as life provides them. So I will talk to you soon, and I look forward to that. Okay, bye.